Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now, do not kick a man whilst he's down is the gentleman's code, but nobody of course has ever accused Reno Omokri of being a gentleman. So with that guys, I bring you this. Dethroned Sanusi is a liar. Jonathan's ex-aide Omokri. So that's the headline that we're contending with now. So in his darkest moments, of course, the enemies are coming to put in the final weights on him. So again, the headline, Dethroned Sanusi is a liar, and it's of course Reno Omokri latching on to this story as he often does. So now let's now see what this guy now has to say. Former aide to ex-president Goodluck Jonathan, Reno Omokri, has described the deposed Emir of Kano, Mohammed Sanusi, as a liar. Following Sanusi's dethronement, some Nigerians have been recalling how he never kept quiet when he sees corruption. One of the instances of alleged corruption Sanusi was said to have exposed was when he claimed that billions of dollars got missing during Jonathan's administration. But responding to such claims Sanusi made against Jonathan's government, Omokri said in a tweet on his Twitter handle, "Anyone saying Sanusi exposed corruption during Jonathan's administration is ignorant. There was no $49.8 billion missing. There was no $22 billion missing. There was no $12 billion missing. There was no 10.8 missing. Sanusi lied. He is a liar, period." So now this is now Reno Omokri, of course, sticking the knife in. So agree and disagree is my position on this tweet by this guy. One, I am not, I think it's in poor taste to really give the guy this kicking whilst he is down, because this is something that Reno Omokri could have said all the way through the period that he has been out of governance with his boss to fight this battle and clear his name. But then I agree that yes, indeed, Sanusi was a liar, because if you imagine that Sanusi was the #1 banker as the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria during Goodluck Jonathan's regime, and the #1 banker in Nigeria that has access to all of the figures of the Nigerian economy, should not really miss a beat. So when Sanusi first came out with this storyline, he said nearly $50 billion was missing. So $50 billion, 49.8 billion to be exact, never enough $50 billion is an exact figure, and this is really something you cannot go into the public space to make that big an announcement without getting your facts right. And especially when it comes to money and numbers, the one person that you do not want getting money and numbers wrong is the head of the country's monetary system, especially the head of the country's foremost bank, the national bank, effectively, which is what the central bank is. So that is the one person you don't want getting figures wrong. So when Sanusi, of course, came out to say $48.9 billion was missing, there was a lot of alarm because of the status and the gravitas of the position that the person saying this occupied. And then very quickly, not more than a week after he said $48.9 billion was missing, he then revised it to 22 exactly billion dollars. So at that point, he should have been sacked, if not just for whether he's right or wrong on the allegations that money was missing, but for the head of the central bank to get something that wrong from $49.8 billion and revise it quickly to $22 billion and put this in the public space. That alone is sufficient enough of a reason for this guy to have been sacked, because it shows a gross incompetence, a crass irresponsibility, a lack of understanding of numbers and figures, and a lack of understanding of the weight of the position that he occupies within the Nigerian monetary structure. Because if you are going from $49.8 billion to 22 whatever billion dollars, I think it was exactly 22, then there's absolutely no reason why anybody should believe anything that you have to say at all, because this is just so crass in the way that it is wrong, that you just want to dismiss that out of hand and really look at the competence of the person saying it. So that's the one thing. And then he subsequently then went from that $22 billion to drop it down to $12 billion, and then from $12 billion he then went further to drop it to $10.8 billion. This is what the head of the central, imagine this is the guy that is guiding the monetary system of the country, and is just playing hard and fast with monetary pronouncements and weighing these heavy allegations against the government of the day without any proof really, or being able to come out with a concise figure. From $49.8 billion he dropped it to $10.8 billion within the space of a month. This is what this guy did. And then when the Goodluck Jonathan regime then brought in international and reputable, I think it was Price Waterhouse or something, or at least a financial house, an accounting firm of equal standing, when they then brought in international financiers to look at the figures of the economy, what these people then found was that there was an anomaly of $1 billion. So from $49.8 billion, which this guy then subsequently dropped to $22 billion, and then went further to drop to $12 billion, and then went further still to drop to $10.8 billion, when these accounts were then audited by forensic auditors, because it was forensic accounting that the Goodluck Jonathan regime ordered. So alarmed were they by the figures that this Sanusi was banding in the public space. When they then ordered this forensic international audit by a reputable international accounting firm, they found an anomaly of about approximately $1 billion. So that $1 billion is still a significant amount of money, but the anomaly that they actually found, this international accounting firm, was not really in the direction of corruption, but in the direction of weak and loose practice, which really needed to be further investigated to determine if there's a corruption within it. So from nearly $50 billion to an anomaly of $1 billion is enough of a reason for this guy to have been sacked. So there is no real only a fool would be of the view that Sanusi just got the figures wrong, because one, the position that he occupies, this is a guy that used to be the head of one of the leading banks in Nigeria before he became the head of the Central Bank of Nigeria, and this is a guy that has some of the best brains, at least not all of, but some of the best brains in Nigeria working for him and perusing these figures and advising him. So this is a guy, even if he had no understanding of the figures himself, would have had the guidance of the people within that central bank structure to have some understanding of what he has to say. So if he's going out into the public space saying this from that position that he occupies, and I do not believe for a moment that he made a mistake, then he's making a calculated political decision. He is making a calculated political decision to darken the name of the Goodluck Jonathan regime, to pave the way for the Buhari regime, and the Buhari regime, of course, now have paid him back in dark coins. So this is how he has panned out for Sanusi. Of course, I admire Sanusi in so many measures, but really I have an understanding of this guy is one of the most corrupt people, by the way, within the Nigerian space. This person accusing somebody of shifting billions. There was a time that monies was being moved from the central bank to Malaysia, and I'm not sure if there's an audit trail of that money that was moved from the central bank to Malaysia then, to see what purpose it is serving. This was under the Sanusi regime, there was a lot of sharp practices then. All these practices with all those filling bags, there's a lot of sharp practices. And by sharp practices, if you choose to understand that to mean corrupt practices, then I am not going to disagree with you. But there was definitely a lot of sharp practices by this guy during his regime. So yes, this is the last person that should accuse somebody of corruption, but his pronouncements on the Almanjiri system, the education of the girl child within the northern space, the dichotomy of the rather ridiculousness of that northern experience, which is really essentially a Nigerian experience, but is more profound within the northern space, where you'll be driving down an ill-built road in a Rolls Royce with a 7-year-old panning for loose change to feed. You think you're living a life of luxury. You think you're from abroad and you belong with the British aristocracy or whatever it is that you're thinking in your head, as you hide away in your air condition and your security details, and you are driving down this road which is like a ferry ground roller coaster sort of thing, with all the potholes and all of this poverty surrounding you, with little children knocking on your window for monies to feed. So this is the narrative that he was speaking to his people, and I agree with that narrative, that you people, you are stealing all this money and all of this poverty is around you, and you are going abroad to pretend like you are part of some European aristocracy, and the European, of course, see you for what you are, some corrupt African, some black person. They would never see you beyond that. So you're a fool abroad and a fool at home. Reno Omokri, of course, I don't have that much of a time for him. I have more of a time for Sanusi, but not that much more. But however you weigh in this divide now, come tell me about it in the comment section. But before you do that, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. The bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me which side you weigh, Reno or Sanusi, in the comment section. So I will leave you here, progress this conversation with you in the comment section. But here I say peace.